Okay, welcome to our buy low running back video, aka our weekly go trade for Brie Saul video. But anyway, I'm going to be talking about some running backs that are disgusting right now. I'm going to be talking about some running backs that nobody wants. So please feel free to go down there to the comment section and say, Mason, you've lost your mind with this one. You were dumb yesterday, but you're even dumber today. Feel free to let me know who you are trying to trade for down there in the comment section. I'm going to be replying to as many of those comments as I possibly can. And of course, if you have not done so, subscribe to the channel. Drop a like on this video. But that should be it. Outside of course, this video is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. On Underdog Fantasy, you can check out all these cool player props, but also when you sign up and use promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You will also, only if you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy for week 4, get access to this special line of Cooper Kupp over under half a receiving yard. Go bet the over. Go take advantage of that free money. But that should be it. Let's dive into it and let's talk about who we always do. Brie Saul. Okay, you've already heard my spiel on Brie Saul. Elite college prospect. 3-down player at Iowa State, elite athlete at the combine, got the draft capital we look for, is the pass catcher we want. You've already heard the spiel, so we're not going to go any further into that. What I want to look at is the continued trend of his usage, where week 2, I mean, it was pretty concerning. If we just look at the raw number of snaps that he played, you had 42 snaps for Michael Carter. You only had 20 snaps for Brie Saul, and at the same time, you had 13 snaps for Ty Johnson. So it was very concerning to see that level of involvement from Michael Carter as well as Ty Johnson, where Brie Saul didn't even have a third of the backfield. But with the small amount of snaps that he received, he went out there and he got the ball. He had 7 carries, the same amount of carries as Michael Carter Jr. And we saw this week 1 as well. We had the glimpse of when he's on the field, this team is looking to get him the ball. Week 1, he was a backup running back yet again. He did play more snaps, but he played 38 snaps compared to Michael Carter at 50. And in those 38 snaps week 1, he led the team in targets. He was at 9 targets for the New York Jets week 1 as a backup running back. Week 3, the first week, you have Brie Saul leading this team in snaps. You have Brie Saul, 42 snaps. Michael Carter Jr., 36. We have Brie Saul yet again with a massive role as a passing down running back here, where if we're going through and looking at this, Brie Saul this past week, 11 targets. Led the New York Jets in targets. I don't know what else you could possibly want, if we're going to be honest here. I think that this is someone that you're just going to have to go through and start every single week. Now, he is going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. Not the best matchup in the world, but if he continues this trend, if he continues to take more and more touches from Michael Carter Jr., it won't be long until this buying window for Brie Saul is completely shut. So if you didn't listen to us week 1, didn't listen to us week 2, didn't listen to us week 3, at least week 4, listen to us. Go trade for Brie Saul cheaply. Add him on your roster right now as a low-end running back 2, because I think by the time we get to the end of the season, he could be a low-end running back 1. And now let's go over to some of the names where we haven't talked about him before. Let's look at Alvin Kamara. Now with Alvin Kamara, I understand this is a player that just collapsed his trade value after week 1, and really nobody wanted him. A running back that was a disappointing week 1, where he goes through and he has a whopping, oh my gosh, it was pretty damn disgusting. 9 carries, 39 rushing yards, and he only had 3 receptions and 7 receiving yards as well. Disgusting week 1. Then in practice week 2, starts dealing with rib injury, something that's very scary for a running back. Ends up having to miss week 2. Going into week 3, I didn't really know what to expect. I said that he was someone that we needed in our starting lineup, and on Underdog Fantasy, on our player prop video, we did take the over at 2.5 receptions for Alvin Kamara. I felt very comfortable with it, and we lost that bet. I mean, I want to say we lost it, but it was the right call, okay? You had 7 targets for Alvin Kamara here this week. Now, with those 7 targets, he only had 2 receptions, 12 receiving yards, but he also had 15 carries, 61 rushing yards. So if we go back and look at Alvin Kamara throughout his entire NFL career, this is essentially the workload you're looking for. You're looking for about 15 carries out of this backfield and about 7 or 8 targets. And now to see that we have Michael Thomas banged up. Now to see that we have Jarvis Landry banged up as well. Y'all know we had red flags with Alvin Kamara coming into the season. He wasn't a player we were drafting very often. And the reason for this is he had more target competition than he's ever seen with Michael Thomas, with Jarvis Landry, with Chris Olave. And on top of it, 2017 was the year he was drafted. He's a 27-year-old running back. We've talked about all these 27-year-old running backs being guys that have those natural red flags of that age cliff that we have dove into. Literally wrote a 100-page research book on fantasy football the last offseason, and that was one of those things we dove into. So there are clear red flags with Alvin Kamara. He has been atrocious through the first 3 weeks, but this past week, he had the workload that we're looking for. He'll be a week healthier going into week 4. And based on the questions we're getting down there in the comment section, I think that there are a lot of trades that you could look to make. Like you could go through and trade, say, James Robinson for Alvin Kamara, maybe James Robinson and a small wide receiver. Something that I'd at least explore in a PPR format. Of course, in a non-PPR league, you don't want Alvin Kamara. That's only going to be for a PPR format. And our next running back, someone that was a sell high candidate for us after week 1. I really try my best to not go sell high, buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high, buy low. But here, I mean, I think this is the perfect example of the fantasy football community kind of gets over their skis, gets a little bit too excited for individual players. Kareem Hunt. I have Kareem Hunt everywhere, but we sold him high after week 1 in a few spots because with his normal workload of 11 carries, 4 targets. He had a great game. He had multiple touchdowns. He had 19 fantasy points, where week 2, you have the same exact workload for Kareem Hunt here. Instead of 11 carries and 4 targets, he has 13 carries and 2 targets. Week 3, you have the same exact workload. You have 12 carries and 4 targets, but the fantasy points fell off a cliff here. He went from 19 points, where everybody thought Hunt was a running back 1 rest of season, to then 7 and 6. It's very clear what happens here in Cleveland. Whoever scores the touchdown that week is a very exciting player. Who doesn't score a touchdown, you're like, okay, well, crap, that's not the best. Wish I didn't start them. But here with Hunt, I think now people have those more realistic expectations of what we can actually assume that his role is for the Cleveland Browns. With Nick Chubb, having, I believe, 4 touchdowns over the past 2 weeks. Nick Chubb just absolutely crushing. I think Nick Chubb probably gets pulled back a bit. I think it all evens out here in the end. So when Kareem Hunt spikes up, probably a good idea to sell him high. When he dips back down to a reasonable price point, I would love to add him to our team because this is a running back that if he's getting 12 carries and 4 targets out of the backfield, that is someone that you could put into your starting lineup if we need to during a bye week fill-in. But more importantly, if Nick Chubb were to go down due to injury, then all of a sudden Kareem Hunt could be a running back that is a top 5 guy in fantasy, especially with how nasty the running back landscape is right now. So I think, don't get mad at me for saying to sell high on him after week 1 and then week 4 saying to buy low. I know it's frustrating. I know I'm annoying. I know it seems like I just flip-flop back and forth, but I really like going after Hunt here. And now our next guy, not flip-flopping. We told you to buy him low after this past week. I think we tried to send out a trade offer for him if you didn't listen to us a week ago. Remandre Stevenson, looking at the underlying snaps, back-to-back weeks here where Remandre Stevenson has played ahead of Damien Harris. Not only is Remandre Stevenson playing ahead of Damien Harris, but more importantly, he's getting involved as a pass catcher, something we've never seen from Damien Harris at all since he was drafted in 2019. If we go through and look at this for Remandre Stevenson, every single week, he's expanded his role here. 8 carries week 1, 9 carries week 2, 12 carries against the Baltimore Ravens this past week. And on top of this, 5 targets as well. We had a whopping near 100 total yard game here for Remandre Stevenson. And he scored the touchdown, so I know his fantasy points did spike up. But in reality, I think that you can assume that Remandre Stevenson is a consistent running back too for you going forward. I didn't like this running back backfield whenever we were looking at Ty Montgomery getting involved, because when it was Ty Montgomery, Damien Harris, and Remandre Stevenson, there was not enough production to be split between 3 guys. But the second that Ty Montgomery hit the IR, flip that switch on Remandre Stevenson, that second a buy low running back. And honestly, I think that he is probably even exceeding the expectations we had. Go try to get Remandre Stevenson. And now our next running back, I need to apologize for telling everybody to start A.J. Dillon this past week. Yes, it was disgusting. Both A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones disappointed. Now, this is on me. I don't think it's on A.J. Dillon. We were looking at that Tampa Bay Buccaneers run defense, and we've seen for 3 years now that you cannot start a running back against Tampa. And if we go through, look, back-to-back weeks here, we've had down weeks from A.J. Dillon. But if we take a step back, if we look at the role between A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones here, I mean, just like we said a week ago, A.J. Dillon's role is so much larger than I was expecting. I mean, I thought that Aaron Jones was going to be a league winner when you had no Devontae Adams. You were going to have all the work in the red zone. You were going to get every target out of the backfield. I thought it was going to be great with Aaron Jones. But so far, the snaps between these two running backs, Aaron Jones, 116, A.J. Dillon, 105. The carries between these two running backs, Aaron Jones, 32, A.J. Dillon, 40. A.J. Dillon, 8 more carries so far this season than Aaron Jones. Targets between these two running backs, this is the number one thing that I'm looking at here because I thought Aaron Jones was going to get pretty much every target out of this backfield. The targets between these two running backs, 12 targets for Aaron Jones and 12 targets for A.J. Dillon. They're damn near 50-50 running backs at this point now. Aaron Jones is probably the more explosive running back. Aaron Jones is still the guy you want here. But if we're looking at the value gap between these two players, A.J. Dillon is the significantly better priced running back. I think that if we want to add a piece to this Green Bay Packers backfield, this is going to be the guy that we are going for. Now, over the past 2 weeks, Aaron Jones has been the running back used in the red zone, which is what we thought was going to happen coming into the season. That's why I loved Aaron Jones. But if we remember, week 1, it was A.J. Dillon in the red zone. So you have 2 weeks with Aaron Jones being that guy, 1 week with A.J. Dillon being that guy. I don't think we have a large enough sample to conclude exactly what's going to happen with those red zone touches between these two players. Go get A.J. Dillon at a discount if you can. And now our last running back here is James Garner. With James Garner, if we pull up this stat line, 26 rushing yards against the Kansas City Chiefs week 1. 25 rushing yards against the Las Vegas Raiders week 2. 39 rushing yards against the Los Angeles Rams this past week. I mean, across the board, extremely disappointing performances from James Garner, but we need to give some context to this situation. If we go look at what happened week 1 here with the Kansas City Chiefs, the Chiefs boat raced Arizona. I mean, you had no shot for James Garner to do anything in this game. Week 2, remember, James Garner goes down early with the injury, so that stat line is complete garbage. Doesn't matter at all. Week 3, kind of had the Los Angeles Rams boat racing the Arizona Cardinals yet again. The Cardinals offense has looked very bad, but what we have seen from James Garner, I think you can get very excited about. James Garner limited with the ankle injury where reports were saying he was going to be on a snap count. Reports were saying that he was going to be limited in this game. He still had 5 targets. He's averaged 5 targets over the past 3 contests, and that's with week 2 skewing the data where he didn't play the entire game. That's with week 3 skewing the data coming off the injury. And if we map out what we should expect with this Arizona Cardinals offense, I think this offense only gets better from here. Hopefully we get Rondale Moore back this week. Long term, obviously we get DeAndre Hopkins back. And if we're looking at Kyler Murray with and without DeAndre Hopkins so far his NFL career, Kyler Murray has averaged 26 fantasy points per game with DeAndre Hopkins and only 20 fantasy points per game without. I think Hopkins comes in later on. I think he makes this offense better overall. And James Garner, yes, the stats are disgusting, but you have to look at the context behind him. He's still the running back getting involved as a pass catcher. We still saw the elite touchdown upside a year ago, even though we said that was going to regress. I still think that he's going to be a consistent high-end running back too. And I think you can buy him at a lower price tag than that right now. But thank you again. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great day. I hope we get to see you with the live stream tonight. And of course, go check out this prop on Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up because only people who use promo code FLOCK are going to have access to that player prop this weekend. And at the same time, when you use promo code FLOCK, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. But thank you again. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great day and hope we get to see you in the live stream tonight.